Welcome, my name is Baron, and this is my channel where I talk about some book stuff. I'm the Book Baron. Welcome in. So today is a little bit chaotic with the video planning. I had planned to film something else, but my hair's not cooperating. We're in full purple fade out mode right now, so it's not looking the best in general. And then I tried to do heatless curls for the first time, and I don't know what god or deity I need to provide a human sacrifice to, or like if I need to recharge some crystals under the moon or what, but it did not turn out. It looks real bad. So I fixed the front as best I could, and then I threw it back. So needless to say, we're doing a video where we're not going to be close into my face. So what are we doing today? Today, I'm going to be talking about all the series that I have finished in my adult reading experience, which isn't that many. There's 13 series that I'm going to go over. It's pretty rare for me to finish a series in general. I'm not a completionist. I'm kind of the opposite. I love to pick and choose. I love starting in the middle of series a lot of times, for interconnected standalones at least. So the fact that I've even finished 13 was kind of surprising to me. But also 13 is my favorite number, so I feel good about that. I'm gonna start the screen recording and we'll just get going. All right, so we might get some wonky lighting. I apologize for that. I'm also gonna be looking down at my computer, which is down here. So let's go over the tiers I'm using for this ranking system. So top tier is bangers. All of the books I think are really good. This is usually like everything's 4 and 5 stars. Solid is mostly 4 stars. Maybe there's like one that's not quite as good as the others, or just in general, I don't have as good of a feeling about the series as a whole, but it's still like really good. Hits and misses is going to be for series that have some 3 stars in the mix. Maybe they have some duds in the series. Maybe I don't like some as much, but they have some really good ones as well. So a lot more highs and lows. And then the last category, which I don't think many or any will fall into, is not for me. And this is series that just weren't for me. I didn't like them that much. I don't think that there's gonna be a ton in this category. Typically, if I've read the whole series, there's usually something about it that I like, but I think there's at least one series that might fall into this category. I have the series each represented by the first book in the series. I'll try and list out all the titles and the title of the series if I remember it, but no guarantees on that. Let's just jump into things in no particular order. So first up, we have the Red Zone Rival series by Candy Steiner. So this one, I think I'm between right now, hits and misses and solid. I think I'm gonna put this one in hits and misses because I feel like there's a lot of highs and lows in this series. I absolutely love Hail Mary, which is the 4th book, and the 2nd book, which is Blindside. Those were 5 stars, phenomenal. I felt like Quarterback Sneak, I liked it, but it was so unexpectedly an emotional gut punch that it was a little hard to enjoy that book as much, just because it didn't have the same feeling as the other ones. It kind of caught me off guard. And then Fair Catch, I think it was okay. I wanted to like it so much more than I did, because I read the entire series and then went back and read the first book. And that one, once again, was one of those that it's like, I could tell it was Candy's writing, but I just didn't like it as much. And especially when you're putting it up against like Hail Mary and Blindside, which were like some of my all-time favorite books when I read them. It's a lot of highs and lows in there. So I think I'm gonna put that one in hits and misses. Next up, we have the Parallel series by Elizabeth O'Rourke, or Elle O'Rourke, and this is bangers. So this is like 2 different duets in a single series. So the first 2 are like modern day, and then the second 2 involve like time travel and like going back in time to pre-World War II France. And I just think all of these books are so phenomenal. These are so underrated, and recently I've been seeing them getting more love on Instagram, and it makes me so happy because there is not a single dud in this. Like, I think about especially the last 2 books, I think about how much those books hurt me on a regular basis. Like, I had to go onto Elizabeth O'Rourke's website and read the extended epilogues because I just needed more from the couples so badly. I wanted every extra short story, anything that I could get my hands on, because I was so in love with these couples. There's not a weak one in the bunch. That one's all bangers. And if you haven't read them, like seriously, these are so good. Like I think this is one of my all-time favorite series. I was not okay after finishing these books. All right, next up we have, let's start at the back. A Discovery of Witches. Ooh, okay. This is another one that I'm between solid and hits and misses. I think I'm going to put this one in solid because when I read it, I loved the first book, and then the second two books were a bit less engaging because it didn't quite have as much atmosphere because we were really fully into the like mystery aspect of things. I think in hindsight, like if I were to rate this like fully now, I think I probably would rate that middle book a lot lower. And I've honestly thought about going back and adjusting that rating because that one did drag a little bit, but I also read all three of these books in a week and they are chunky books. So I think for that reason, I have to put it in solid. Like, I don't think any of them drop below a 3-star, but like, I don't think they're all 5s. All right, next up we have the Devil series, and this is also by Elizabeth O'Rourke. Clearly, if I like an author, I like an author. This has to go in hits and misses. This has to go in hits and misses because, so the first book is The Deal with the Devil and the second book is The Devil in the Deep Blue Sea. And those two books I reread constantly. I think they're so phenomenal. They're great. The third and fourth book, the third book I really didn't enjoy that much. It did not feel like Elizabeth O'Rourke's writing. The characters felt very strange. It was more of an Office Place romance. And she's even admitted that she doesn't want to do Office Place again. Like she struggled to write those pieces. And I definitely felt that with the third book. I think that's The Devil You Know. And there was just like a lot of stuff with feet in that one, which was off-putting. And then the fourth book was Secret Baby, and I didn't love the female lead for that one as much. I thought she was okay, but compared to the other ones that she had, like those gals were all phenomenal. So I think for that reason, it has to be hits and misses because like those first two books are just so good. And the third one was such a letdown when I read it. So hits and misses for that one. All right, next up, it's American Queen. So I think this is the new Camelot series by Sierra Simone. And unfortunately, this pains me. I have to put this in not for me. So this is American Queen, American Prince, and American King, I think are all the books. American Queen, I felt so odd about reading that book because we spend so much time in the heads of our characters, but I feel like I didn't know who Greer, the main female character, the main lead, was. I just didn't have any sense of who she was outside of her relationship. So I felt like that was kind of strange. And then that really didn't resolve in the later books. And then it became more and more like bizarre with the actual plot. There was some elements included where I was just like, for what and for why? So I think I rated all of these 3 stars. Like I can get why other people would like them, but this is definitely a series that I finished it and I was like, why did I do that to myself? Well, I know I did it to myself. I love Sierra Simone's writing, but like this was just such a miss for me. All right, next up we have, okay, so this is Vicious by L.J. Shen, and that is part of the Saints of Sinners series, I think is what it's called. And I think this one's gonna go solid. So this is got Vicious, Ruckus, Scandalous, and Bane, or something goofy like that. The last one I think is technically a spinoff, but I really enjoyed all of these books. I think the lowest rating one of them got was 4, that was Scandalous, and that was because I just didn't like the age gap. I couldn't get over the ick I got from the age gap with that couple in particular, and I like age gap romances, so like that was weird that one just like gave me the ick so bad. But Vicious is a phenomenal like all-time fave, but I just have like really good memories of reading all of these books. The second one was like very sweet. I don't know, I just feel like this is a very solid series. I don't think that they're all bangers just because that last one is like a little bit less good because of that ick factor for me, but like I still enjoyed that book. All right, next up, oh, I don't remember the name of this series. So it's represented by Hook by Emily McIntyre. I think this is called like the Ever After or Never After series or something along those lines. It's like Hooked, Scarred, Wretched, something, and then Crossed. Twisted and then Crossed. So I just finished this series recently, and oh, this is painful. I feel like all of the books that I have favorites in are ending up in the hits and misses category. And this is another one that's gonna end up in there. So I absolutely loved Wretched and Scarred. I felt like Wretched, the female lead in that, is this like mafia baddie, and I just loved her. She was such a morally great character. I loved seeing a woman just like do whatever she wanted. I thought that was so cool. And then the guy was like the one that was on the right side of the law. Loved that book. I also loved Scarred. That one was like a historical-ish feeling one. Well, no, not historical-ish. It was straight up historical. And so that caught me off guard. I ended up liking that so much, which is surprising because I'm not much of a historical person. I'm trying to get into them. But yeah, that one I thought was really good as well. But Twisted, I couldn't tell you a single thing about that book. I have no memory of really reading that. I don't think I liked it that much. I distinctly remember not liking reading Hooked. And then I felt like Crossed and the last one felt way too similar with a lot of the elements to Hooked, which is one I didn't like. So this has to be hits and misses because there's just so many highs and lows. It's like I feel either very positively or very negatively about every single one of the books. All right, next up we have the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver. And I think, okay, for this one, I think this has to go into hits and misses. Because Flawless and Heartless, the first two books, loved those two, had a great reading experience. The third book, which is, they're all named so similarly, I can't remember what this one's called. Powerless, the one that had the hockey player, Jasper. That one didn't involve as much of the ranch stuff, and I just felt like that one was just not as good. I don't know what happened with that book, but when I read that, I was like, it didn't even feel like Elsie wrote it. It was so bizarre. Things kind of came back around, I felt like, for me with Reckless, the Secret Baby Surprise Pregnancy one. I thought that one was excellent. And then things went back down with Hopeless again. That one I thought was like my second to least favorite because I just thought it should have been more. And I was a little bit disappointed. Not that it was bad by any stretch. So I just feel like that one's got to be hits and misses because there's just so many highs and lows in that series. And it started off so good. All right, next up I have a series by Ronnie Lauren. I think the series is called Say Everything. I'm gonna put this one in solid. I remember liking all of these books. I think it was like 4 stars across the board. It follows different people in the same office place, and there was lots of good rep in this. It's been a while since I read them, but I remember really liking the anxiety rep that she had in one book, and she had one lady that had a stutter. I think the Yes and I Love You, the one that's on the screen, is actually the one with the gal that had a stutter. And I really loved the representation because it felt very like intentional but also casual. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I remember really liking all of those books. All right, next up I have Off to the Races. This is also by Elsie Silver, and this one is gonna go, I think, in solid. So Off to the Races I thought was the weakest one, which is the one on the screen. It's like I gave that one like a 3.5 stars, but the rest were all 4 stars, and that's like a photo finish, front runner, and a false start. And that last book was excellent. And I think that's part of the reason why I didn't like the wrap up for Chestnut Springs as much, because a false start was pretty emotional. And so I know she's capable of doing more emotional books, and I felt like Hopeless fell a little bit flat. So I think that's why I'm gonna rate the Gold Rush Ranch series a little bit higher. All right, next up we have the Kingmaker series, and this is by Sophie Lark. I think this one's gonna go in solid. So I remember the first one, I think I gave a 3.5 stars to, but it was still really good. I have really good memories of reading that, and everything after that was like 4 and 5 stars. It was like Harry Potter, but make it mafia, and I just enjoyed it. Like, I know a lot of people kind of give it crap because they think it drags in certain spots, or that it doesn't have enough plot, but I really loved it, especially when everything came together in those last couple of books. I ate that up. I really enjoyed the atmosphere of this series, and I just love how everything played out. All right, next up I have Poison Roses. So I think this is the called the Boys of Belrose series, and this is Jamin Eve and Tate James. And this is gonna go in solid. I think the last book, I got a little bored of the series, but I also like read all 4 books like right in a row. But outside of that, I think this was like a real good one. I really enjoyed every single book. I almost think of this entire series as a single book just because I've read them all back to back. And it's like a dark rock star romance, and I had such a fun time because it was just so unhinged. It was so wild and just ridiculous that it was kind of hard not to enjoy. All right, last one. We have the Brutal Birthright series by Sophie Lark, and I think this is gonna go in bangers. Yeah, I feel good about that. This is gonna go in bangers. I gave all of these 4 and 5 stars. I think at one point when I was in a very villainous era, I went back and dropped my rating of Brutal Prince down to a 3 because it was kind of my least, well, no, it wasn't my least favorite in the series. I think because I liked Ada's character further on in the series, I kind of like reevaluated how I felt about her in the first book, which is such an odd thing to do. But I loved this series. I read all of the books right straight through. I don't know. I have good memories of reading this entire series while I was traveling, and maybe that's part of the association for me is I associate it with my trip. But it was such a good series. It starts with Brutal Prince, and then Stolen Heir is phenomenal. That's what kind of got me off of my captor captive phase, where I was like, oh, I really like this. It's also Polish, so like, of course I loved it. And then Savage Lover, it gave Dom and Letty vibes. Like, it was very much like Fast and the Furious feeling. I love a good car racing scene. I like that we kind of got a little bit of a breather from some of the mafia stuff. Bloody Heart, I remember loving the last scene. I felt like there was a little bit of downtime in some of the parts of that, but I was shocked how much I loved Secret Baby in this one. I didn't think I liked that trope, and I really enjoyed how it all kind of got pulled together with this and just how long he had been longing for her. Oh, that was very good. And then there was Broken Vow. I think this one was maybe my least favorite. I can't remember her name now. I loved the female lead in this because she's a little bit more on the icy side, but I didn't like going the full honky tonk down on the country like farm situation where she had to like become not a city girl. That rubbed me a little bit the wrong way, but I loved the story overall. And then that wraps up with Heavy Crown, and that book, oh, so good. Loved everything about that. Sebastian is like burned in my brain as like a book boyfriend. Like, I just loved how everything played out and how protective he was. Anyway, I could continue gushing about this series because clearly I'm obsessed with it. But those are all the series that I have for you that I have completed. Let me know if you've completed any of these series. Let me know what your thoughts are if you've read any of the books in these series. I'd love to chat about them with you. And let me know if you disagree with any of my rankings. I'm really curious if you guys see them differently. I'm really sad, to be honest, how many of my like series with some of my favorite books ended up in hits and misses. But such is life. You can't all be winners. With all of that, don't forget to like this video if you like it and subscribe if you want more content from me. I hope to see you on my next video. Bye-bye.